Hi, my name is Danielle, and I'd like to welcome you back to My High Plains Life. This is episode 5, and it is June 29th. I started recording on a Saturday and then a Sunday, and now it's on Monday, so I'm just kind of trying to figure out which day works best for me, and if I want to keep recording on a weekly basis or switch it to every other week. It depends. If I have enough content or not. I like keeping it around 30 minutes, so I figure that's a good length. And I don't want half of that to just be off-topic blather. Let's see. So to start us off, I'd like to thank everybody who watched my previous episodes and have come back to join us again for episode 5. Thank you. I'm having a lot of fun putting together this podcast. It's made me feel excited about doing something, and I need that excitement to build my motivation to follow through with things sometimes and to get items accomplished and marked off my to-do list. So this is helping me too. So hopefully you're enjoying it at the same time. And to start off with In the Mug, this is, I'm so boring. Sorry, it's just Dunkin' Donuts coffee with a lot of creamer. A lot of creamer. I will say, I'm a daddy's girl. My dad drank coffee with cream, so I drink coffee with cream. Yeah. So, what can I say? My sister is the same way. Family. As far as on the road goes, this was actually a pretty exciting weekend for motorcycling. It was the Pikes Peak hill climb, the Race to the Clouds, and they have a fan fest on Friday night before the weekend of the races, where they have all the cars and motorcycles downtown that are racing, so you can check them out and talk to the race teams and sponsors, and a lot of the motorcycling teams bring other models and stuff too and have them out on display so you can swing a leg over and try them out, and it's kind of cool. I get reminded of exactly how short I am every time. I can't touch the ground on a stock motorcycle. Thank God for my kingpin low. That's all I can say. Although Victory did have 2 other bikes out that I could probably ride stock. Yay. One of them was their Gunner, which is kind of like their version of the Harley Sportster. It's their entry-level motorcycle, although it still has a 106 cubic inch engine. Vroom, vroom. And their Highball, which is, they're not really ape hangers, but the handlebars do go up, but they're repositionable, so you can have them higher, or you can swing them back and have them lower, closer to your body. So that was kind of interesting. And the Highball's been out for a few years, but the Gunner's fairly new, so it was exciting to see them. And the Victory also had their stunt riding team do some performances. So they had, a couple blocks sectioned off and open, available for the Victory stunt riding team and also for their FMX stunt team to do like their jumps and flips and stuff. It's crazy. And so the Victory stunt team, there were 2 riders. They started out on 2 Gunners. The things they could get those motorcycles to do, it was pretty amazing. One guy even just stood on it and just hands up in the air. It was amazing. And a lot of spins, spins, swerves. things where you thought they were going to lay it down and they pulled it back up again. It's pretty cool. And then they switched to a Magnum and a cross country. And that's what my husband rides, is a cross country. Again, the things they were getting these bikes to do. I told him, do not try this at home, under penalty of death from me. So, but it was pretty cool. And then we watched the FMX jumps and the rest of the show, and went down, checked out the Victory motorcycle tent, and the friends we were with looked at the Ducati tent. And we had a good time. We ate dinner downtown and headed back home. So it was a very busy, productive Friday night. So we had a lot of fun. And then on Sunday, the day of the race, the Victory race team, Project 156, started out at the beginning with, great times, and then they laid it down. They, got it back up and finished the race and recovered some of the time. But unfortunately, they were disqualified. They received a DNF due to crash damage. So maybe next year. The race was actually postponed in mid-afternoon due to heavy rains and lightning. That's Colorado. So I'm glad they considered safety and stopped the race. Somebody has already died this year trying to race to the top. So one of the motorcycle riders did, and they had a nice memorial for him where they had sweep riders basically sweep the course in honor of his memory. And that just kind of brings home every year why it's fun. It's still a dangerous sport. So that was a reminder to all of us who ride, whether or not we race. Moving on to a lighter subject. Oh, sure, now the sun comes out. Might blow out my colors. On the needles. I don't have a finished object to show you this time, but I do have a couple whips, which are works in progress. So my crossover top, come on, is in my, can you see it? Beady Sisters bag, and they're on Etsy. And I love the mustaches. Whoa! Big ol' massive knitting. That's right, folks. Check it out. I have my shoulders seamed, so they are connected to the back piece now. This is so exciting. Yay! So now I just pick up along the front and go around the neckline and finish it all off with a garter stitch ridge edging, and then I seam down the sides. Yay! This is my very first time doing mattress stitch, and I don't know if I can get you to see this. I'd like to point out how nearly invisible it is. That's the seam right there. Very first time. I think I did a good job. For those of you who don't knit or sew, finishing makes all the difference between a garment that looks handmade in a bad way and versus like a custom item. My Atlantic Current socks are in my sock bag from You and Me. And I know it never looks like I do much progress, but I am, because they're on 2 at a time. And I am actually ready to turn the heels. So, because I am a size 6 and have short feet. So I'm ready to turn the heels. So since that actually requires concentration, I put these in my bag so I could turn the heel here at home of an evening. And it started a new sock. I don't know. It's just going to be a toe up, maybe a vanilla, because it's a Zitron Trekking XXL. There we go. In colorway 156. Yay. But this colorway looks amazing, and I think it's going to do the work for me. Like, it's going to stripe and do it, so. What do I have? I have the little bitty start of the toe. Tiny. I only worked on it for like 15 minutes, so it's just getting the toe started. So that is my whips. I had about medium knitting time this week. I felt really busy all week. Like I was out of the house a lot, even if I wasn't necessarily, and I just felt really tired. So I only got moderate amount of knitting done. I did get some spinning done too, though. My spinning work in progress, I didn't take off my wheel. I left it on my Lundrum. I am down to the bright yellow green now, so I'm over halfway through. Yay! It looks really cool, but I thought I'd show you some more of my finished yarn. And this is actually caked up already. And this was, I think it's BFL, and it came undyed, and I dyed it. This was dyed using food coloring, and I used orange and burgundy and yellow, and these were color combinations that my friend Sarah gave me an idea to put together for, like Spanish sunset. So I dyed the roving, and then I spun it up, and this is only a single, and this was spun on my Lundrum. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to ply it on itself, chain ply to keep the color things, or spin it on itself and get barber poling, or just leave it as a single. So until I figure out what I want, it will stay as such. If I leave it as a single, I get more yardage, and I might have enough to actually do a hat. So I don't know. We shall see. And under the needle, this is very exciting. I worked on my Waves of Glory quilt, and I actually got a lot accomplished. I pieced all my blocks together, so all my rows are sewed together, and I have the quilt top. It's not finished, but it's done. The only thing I have left to do is to stitch down the curves so it looks like my flag is waving in the wind. And so, I have to stand up to do this. Sorry. Let's see if I can show you. This is what my quilt top looks like. Yay! Kind of. So you get the gist of it. And I haven't done the red yet, but I have stitched down the white. So you can kind of see how it's going to start curving. This is hard. Like that curve there. So it looks like it's waving. A little bit. I've decided I'm going to send this quilt out to be quilted because that's where I always stall out. I get the top piece together and then it sits. So this is going to go out to be finished, and then it will be a gift for a secret to somebody. In the garden, I have a ton more flowers blooming that just opened this last week. I'm very excited. So now, along with the purple in my garden, I have red, and they're beautiful together. So I have some more penstemon, can't ever pronounce it, blooming in the shade under my tree out front. And I also have some more of my perennials blooming in my backyard, and I will show you a video of those. Ignore the overgrown grass and the weeds, but this is another perennial that started blooming this week, and I can't remember what it is, but it's really pretty. Some red stalks that rise above the rest. And then here is some of my penstemon. I think this is Mexicali Red Rocks. No, Red Rocks is red. This might be Pike's Peak purple. Sure. So they took a beating in the hail last night, but this is my penstemon Mexicali Red Rocks, or it's a hybrid beard tongue penstemon. So this is actually good for hummingbirds and butterflies versus bees. And I actually saw a hummingbird on it this morning. It's the very first hummingbird I've ever seen, so that was exciting. In addition, my catmint is still blooming. And then this penstemon started blooming this week too. This is a pine leaf penstemon because it looks like it has pine leaves. Oh, and there's a little bee. Checking out my catmint. I don't know if you can see them. They keep flying away from where I'm filming. Okay, so this is pine leaf penstemon, and this is also good for hummingbirds and butterflies versus bees because they have the long-necked flowers that they need a longer proboscis to get down and reach the nectar. So that is the new blooming flowers in my garden this week. With the exception of my hops. These are hops flowers. You can see oh, that's bad filming. The fuzzy things, those are flowers. Yay! And my hops are all the way down there. As far as in the bee yard goes, I have been called to do 2 cutouts. One, when I got there, the bees had left. They'd swarmed, and it looked like they had made a home in the building because there were entry holes available for them to get into the attic, and they'd left some bees behind, so there were some bees buzzing around, but it turns out the bees had left, and there wasn't a hive there. I do not know why, because it was a great place for a beehive. A huge void for them to build comb in, so place to keep an eye on and watch for future swarms. And the second cutout I got called and canceled on. I think the guy hired an exterminator instead. I hate it when people call exterminators for honeybees. And there's multiple reasons for that. First, let me do my little soapbox thing. We need pollinators. Every third bite that you eat is food that required pollination. Fruits, vegetables, grains. Some are wind pollinated, like corn, and some require pollination. Grains and grasses, alfalfa, require pollination by bees, bugs, other insects, whatever's doing it. And so if that feed is then fed to cattle, again, the source goes back to something requiring pollination. Honeybees do not do all the pollinating. Actually, native bees tend to do the majority of it. You know, those big fat bumblebees. Or sometimes the little small bees that have a greenish tinge to them and almost look like flies. Mason bees. They do most of the pollinating regionally. For monoculture crops, almonds, strawberries, citrus, those are honeybees. And as it is, we're at a shortage. Like the commercial honeybees can hardly keep up with the demand. The prices have gone up. Like, you know, instead of $100 a box to rent a box of bees to pollinate your field, they're paying $150 a hive. Those aren't exact numbers, but So honeybees are a necessary part of pollination and in providing the foods that we eat. Between colony collapse disorder, increased activity of parasites like mites and the varroa mite, the nosema mite, fungus, and bacteria, they are getting hit. Pesticides. Monsanto is evil. Can I say that? Sure. Pesticides just are doing a number on commercial and hobbyist beekeepers. And I lost 2 out of 3 hives over the winter. If everybody does that, they don't have enough bees to continue splitting and repopulating. So the way to make that up is to collect wild swarms or wild hives during cutouts. You know they're survivors. You know they perform well in the local weather. And even if they're mutts, you know, they've found a way to survive. So that makes them desirable. So retrieving and doing a cutout, retrieving that hive of bees is always preferable to exterminating them. Second, if you exterminate them, you're still leaving the void that bees or wasps can come back to in the future. You are still leaving the honeycomb in the wall or soffit or whatever it is. And without the bees there to regulate the temperature, your honeycomb will melt. So you will have melted wax and, depending upon how long the hive's been there, melted honey seeping through your wall or your ceiling, which attracts other insects, ants, and rodents like mice that also want to eat all the dead bee bodies now. So you've created a new infestation by exterminating the bees. basically. And again, there's no guarantee that they won't come back unless you absolutely seal up whatever access route they're getting to and fill the void. And that is why I think people should do cutouts versus hiring exterminators. Thank you. Off my soapbox. I am doing another cutout today, supposed to. We'll go see how it looks and if it's reachable or not. And hopefully I'll get some good video of that to show you today. And I also went to a bee yard visit hosted by our local beekeeping association, where a member invited the rest of the club to come and look at their hives. We had 4 mentors there, so we split into 4 groups, and we had 4 mentors walk us through hive inspections. They did a powdered sugar roll to do a mite check, which I will show you in a future video. What that is, if you're curious, you can always Google. And they also split a hive to create a nucleus. A nucleus is only like a 3 or a 5 frame hive. It's the nucleus. It's basically just brood frames. And it gets fed sugar water, so they don't necessarily have to store honey, because the purpose of this is to keep an extra queen on hand or to produce queens. And it was interesting watching somebody else do a hive check, see their technique and comments that they made. I have some video of it that I'll try and include. But this sounds so bad, I've been a beekeeper long enough now that there wasn't really anything new. So I don't know. It's always good just meeting other beekeepers and seeing another person's bee yard and setup and how other people handle themselves around the bees. But I don't know. It's like I'm expecting this moment where I learned something new about bees. But really, I think the only thing now, I've got all the book learning. I think now the only thing is just years of experience behind me. And that'll only happen with time. So it was still a positive experience. We'll give that a positive experience. So this is me post hive inspection. I went out this morning and looked in both hives, and I only made it through the top box of each hive. So Queen Fiona, I saw her, yay. So I know she's alive, I know she's laying. I saw larvae and eggs, and that's only in the top box, and I saw her, and she's beautiful, and I hope she got mated well. The brood pattern looked okay from what I saw, so keeping my fingers crossed. And then the SJ hive, the queen was still alive because I saw larvae in that too, and plenty of capped brood, at least in the top box, but the capped brood could have been there prior to the move, but the larvae had to have been within the last week. So I know the queen didn't get rolled and injured and killed during the transport. So both my hives are doing good. I even have about a half a super of honey on the SJ hive. So we'll see how the summer progresses. And as far as off topic goes, I think I've already blathered enough. So I will let you go. Thanks for watching. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as DannyGirlCO, and you can find the show notes at www.myhighplainslife.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching.
Right, yeah, so it's probably...
So you just take it off anyway?
Yeah, you can go ahead and take that off anyway.
There's never a shortage of drones.
No, not normally, you're right.
Especially this year.
I'm going to see the tan that's... Oh,
Okay, you see that tan?
like right in there? Okay, that's the drone brood?
No, that's captive worker brood.
Captive worker brood.
Okay, drone brood, and if you find some drone cells, I'll show you. Drone brood is raised up, humped up a little bit. A lot of people describe it as looking like the nose of a bullet.
Okay.
Okay.
I have top bars.
And you also have larvae in here. Do you see those? Okay, point your finger right under your finger. Those little white wormy looking things.